This is power. This is tradition. This is Talladega. The biggest party in NASCAR returns April 27th through 29th.
Experience Talladega Superspeedway differently this year with the Kids VIP experience. Your kids can go behind the scenes, take a hot lap, a guided garage tour, or pose for a photo in Victory Lane. This is more than a race. This is Talladega. Experience Talladega.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Talladega is known for a lot of things. We're known for incredible racing, 3 and 4 wide pack racing at 200 miles per hour. So the on-track thing is a spectacle in itself to see. If you come here, just for the race. But one of the things that we try to say is that Talladega is more than a race. The racing on the racetrack speaks for itself. And over the years, we've been regarded as other things as well. Part of the racetrack is known as the party capital, where people like to come and have a really, really good time. And, we encourage folks to come and have a good time because that's what it's all about. We also have other programming, for our youngsters and our families. We have certain areas in the grandstands that are dedicated to non-alcoholic areas. But from a kid's standpoint, we started this about 2 years ago, a kids VIP program where basically where kids, if they have a grandstand ticket that day and they bought our VIP package, for pre-race, they get the opportunity to sign up to be a kid VIP that day. And it's pretty cool in the fact that we'll put kids down at the red carpet drivers meeting entrance. So when every one of those drivers on Sunday, all of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series drivers come through to go to the drivers meeting, they will go through a line, and we put all those kids there where those drivers will pass by those kids. They'll stop. They'll sign autographs. They'll pose for pictures. Really, really cool. That's just one of the things that we do that morning. We also do guided garage tours for our youngsters. We also allow them to go into Victory Lane, Gatorade Victory Lane, and get their photograph taken there as well. We're going to have some kids meet and greet and Q&A out on pit road in a couple of different pit boxes by the teams as well. Pre-race ceremonies. Every driver comes on the stage and they wave to the crowd as they're introduced. And just before they go off the end of the very stage there, they will give a fist pump to all the kids that are lined up there. So we're really trying to let kids have some inside access, almost like locker room access to the drivers. And this allows them a way to get up and close. And, it's really been rewarding to see the drivers just go and be able to connect with our young fans. Our young fans are our fans of tomorrow. So we love the fact that we can put those kids up close to all the drivers. They see them in their uniforms. They look like warriors getting ready to strap into a 3,500-pound race car to go out and do battle on the biggest racetrack on the planet. So it's sort of stargazing per se, and we're extremely happy that we've been able to create that program. We've had a lot of success with it.
It sounds amazing. I mean, it sounds like the other racetracks are going to be wanting to copy that because, just that type of level of access for the fans. And then, of course, the adults are going to be like, well, it says for kids, but doesn't mean kids at heart. Because that sounds like that'll be just, such a great experience for the fans.
Yeah, and we're happy this year. The fact that we've got Children's of Alabama, the hospital over in Birmingham, has actually come on board as a partner with us for the program. So extremely happy that we're seeing corporate see the advantages of what we're doing here, and the fact that we're getting children, involved and giving them these opportunities. Me, for one, I've been a fan of NASCAR my entire life, so I remember going to races as a 4- and 5-year-old, sitting in the grandstands and cheering on, various drivers, the drivers that I pulled for, and I never had the opportunity to go down inside and get up close and personal with the drivers. So this is something that has really taken off, and again, we're extremely happy to offer this to the kids. And really what's cool is, whenever we're giving those kids a tour of the garage area, a lot of the race teams will stop what they're doing. They see exactly what we're trying to do. We educate them ahead of time, and we've had a lot of teams that have taken kids up inside the haulers to let them see exactly what all goes on. That's their office for the weekend. They're all decked out in their sponsor pit crew uniforms, and it gives the kids a chance just to see what all's going on here. And there's much more than the racing on the track, but they get an inside look. And not many people can say that in any type of sport that you get to go down basically right in the middle of the action and see it before it starts. And we've had a lot of success with it, and we want folks to know that this place is for families. It has been a place for families since 1969. We hope to be around for a much longer period of time, and we got to start out now and let the youngsters know exactly what's going on. Again, I'm proof in the pudding that if you get access to NASCAR at an early age, you'll become a fan for life. So the kids program really excites me just from a personal standpoint, just because I know how it feels to be a kid and want to be at a racetrack.
I know what you mean. Oh, gosh. I mean, just seeing their excitement, their joy. I took my little fellow down to the Kentucky Speedway the last couple years, and he's on the younger side as well. He's 6, so he enjoys watching it, but it's cute because he doesn't know which car to cheer for yet. He just, he wants them all to go fast.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the joy of being at a racetrack, to see cars go fast. And there's nowhere that you can find race cars going fast, bumper to bumper, 3 and 4 wide, 10 rows deep, than here at Talladega. I mean, we are known for extremely close, tight-knit pack racing, and have been for a number of years, especially since restrictor plates were introduced back in the late 80s. It's a nail biter from the time they dropped the green flag to the checkered flag here. So you know how it is inside the cockpit with the drivers. One slight mistake can cause havoc, but it's really something to see here, to see 3 and 4 wide. It really gives a lot of credit to these drivers. They're the best drivers in the world, and they've got to maintain these race cars going that speed and also that close together. There's nothing like witnessing a race here at Talladega for young fans and also older fans just like myself.
What do you feel is the big advantage being a tri-oval versus a traditional oval track?
Well, I think that Talladega has separated itself from every other venue because of a couple things. Talladega is the biggest racetrack in NASCAR. We're at 2.66 miles. And when Big Bill France Sr. Built this place, he had the vision in mind of making it the very biggest. So we have our own characteristics. We're 2.66 miles the biggest. We're the widest at over 48 feet as far as the racing surface. The corners are banked 33 degrees here, and that's the steepest in NASCAR. And again, we're just a tad longer than Daytona. So whenever he built this racetrack, he wanted to build something that was, different, but it was bigger. It was a palace of speed, and that's what he was able to create here back in 1969. The other thing that makes racing here unique is the fact that the start-finish line is actually not in the center of the tri-oval. So Daytona, again, a similar racetrack, the start-finish line is dead center of the tri-oval. Here, it's over 1,250 feet further down toward turns 1. So what that has created over the years has been some incredible finishes here. There have been numerous times where the driver that entered the center of the tri-oval, where normally the start-finish line would be, actually got passed by the time they got to the finish line 1,250 feet further down. So that has created something. Again, that was another vision by Bill France, was to give race fans another look at a different type of finish. And he hit the nail on the head. We've had a lot of those guys that have won, some of the great races here that come to memory. 1981, Ron Bouchard, who was actually running third in the tri-oval, and he comes around and he passes both Darrell Waltrip and Terry Labonte. Jimmy Johnson, back in 2011, he was actually running 5th coming out of turn 4. and by the time they got to the start-finish line, he won by a hair, .002 seconds to win the race. So, every racetrack has its own characteristic. In our sport, we do have a lot of mile-and-a-half racetracks. It's just different strokes for different folks of exactly what you want to see. You also have some very small tracks, and some of those you sort of think back to the grassroots of racing, the little half-mile, 3/8 mile dirt tracks that a lot of race car drivers got started on. I think it's great that we have different types of racetracks. I think everyone has its own different characteristics. And Talladega, again, it was built with the premise of being fast, being able to run 3 and 4 wide here, and the product that Bill France envisioned is exactly what he got here. So I wouldn't change a thing about this racetrack. I think from a fan perspective, it doesn't get any better. From a competitive standpoint, we've had, in a 500-mile race here, we've had 88 lead changes, which is the very, very most in NASCAR history. We've done it twice, where we've had 88 lead changes, and those are always measured at the start-finish line. Think about this, passes for the lead here throughout the racetrack. Last year we had over 200, but they're only counted at the start-finish line. So 88 is the world record within NASCAR. We've had 29 different leaders over the years, and again, that's another NASCAR record. 29 different drivers have led a race here before, and that's another record. So from the all-track exposure and what you're seeing, it's the most competitive form of racing in all of motorsports.
Wow. I mean, that definitely sounds like a unique experience, something that, if you are a true race car fan, that must be experienced.
It really is, and there again, I've been around the sport for a long time. Going back to my childhood days, and I still get. I've been in this business now for over 30 years, and I still get goosebumps just walking outside and during an actual race here, and seeing the cars just come by in those packs at 200 miles per hour. It's just phenomenal what these drivers can do from the cockpits of these race cars, and they provide our fans with just an incredible vision of what NASCAR and what competition's all about.
Obviously, you're focused, right now on this season, as opposed to next year and the big birthday. But I can imagine there probably already are things that you're kicking around, that you're, getting that a little bit ready as well, along with this season. Is that the case?
Absolutely. And we, this racetrack was created back in 1969, so we'll celebrate our 50th anniversary next year in 2019. When you look back over the years, we've had some incredible finishes. We've had some incredible memories of wins, and we've actually had 11 drivers who have picked up their first career win here at Talladega. The last one was a year ago when Ricky Stenhouse went to Victory Lane, and again, that was his first ever win in NASCAR's Premier Series. So, absolutely, we've already got a laundry list of different things that we're going to attempt to do. We hope to bring back some of those guys that made history here over the years, winning races. The famed Alabama gang of Bobby Allison, Johnny Allison, Red Farmer. All those are the original Alabama gang, and those guys actually all won races here. Bobby won in the Cup Series 4 times, Donnie twice, and then Red actually won some ARCA races here, and also NASCAR Xfinity Series race. So when you go down the list of winners, we have definitely a target list of those guys that we want to bring back, going back to Richard Petty, and going back to David Pearson and Darrell Waltrip, Bill Elliott. All these guys are Hall of Famers who had some considerable success here that we want to bring back next year and showcase them and their accomplishments to our fans. So we're looking at a lot of different things. There are also currently we have 4 different series that compete here today, two big weekends each year. We have the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, we have the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and we have the ARCA Racing Series that will be here April 27th through the 29th. In the fall, we'll also have another Cup race with the Monster Energy Cup Series. We'll also have the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. But over the years, we also had the IROC Series, which produced some incredible racing as well. We also had, back in the 70s, the road course is still there. We had road course racing here that also went out onto the oval parts of the track as well. But different IMSA type series. We had motorcycles here, so we're looking at the full enchilada per se of all the racing that we've had here. You know, we've had speed records here that have been accomplished over the years by numerous drivers. We had A.J. Foyt here in an Indy car back in the 70s. We had Mark Donahue here setting records. We have a lot of different records that have been set here on a closed course. Buddy Baker back in 1970 was actually the first driver in the world to turn a lap of over 200 miles per hour on a closed circuit. So we've seen 200 miles per hour marks for many, many years. And again, we're very proud of the fact that those mammoth records in various categories for different styles and types of race cars, four wheels and two wheels, were actually turned here at Talladega.
Do you feel that the Rusty Wallace or the Bill Elliott is the true record, since one of them was done in a race and the other one wasn't?
Well, from an official standpoint, when Bill turned the 212.809 miles per hour, that was during an official qualifying effort. And again, that was back in 1987. The fact that Rusty came back years later and was able to turn, an average of over 216 miles per hour, that's a huge accomplishment in itself. The only thing that's different, it wasn't official. There were folks here that were doing the timing and scoring on it, but it was not official. And of course, that was years later after the series had been competing here with restrictor plates. Rusty came here during a test. It was actually it was testing radios and being able to hear communication and stuff at various points throughout the racetrack and going at high rates of speed. He actually turned that during a test here. So, it's a great accomplishment, and they actually took the restrictor plate off for that. A lot of people ask today, how fast could a race car go today here without a restrictor plate and have it completely ready to go? There's no telling. I mean, we've heard different drivers. Jeff Gordon, I know, said before that they could probably be going 235 or so here. But again, the thing that we always have to take into consideration, and what NASCAR really does a good job of, is making sure that the safety of our fans come first, making sure that the safety of the competitors is right up there again with the fans. So, unfortunately, because of engineering and the fact that these race cars can go so fast, the restrictor plate has basically been a part of our sport here at Daytona and Talladega since 1987. So there's no telling how quick that they could go today. We've got a lot of smart engineers out there that can get the most speed out of these race cars, but the restrictor plates have really made the racing at Talladega just something to see because they run so close here.
Along with being such a huge party event, a lot of people consider basically Talladega a town or a city onto its own, especially during those race weekends with the fans and the employees numbering in, a couple 100,000, somewhere around there?
Yeah, I mean, that's always our goal here, is to get a couple 100,000 people here, or right at it, during a race weekend. And you're right, it becomes a big major city in the fine state of Alabama, and we're very proud to be here in Alabama. We have to be prepared, and we have folks who are on staff here, whether it be medical staff, whether it be security staff. We've got the full gamut covered. And again, we're looking at 3 main days during each weekend, so we've got to be ready. And fortunately, we've been ready over the last number of years, and we've never had any problems. It's really a place for people to come and have a good time, and it's just something to see. If you've never been here, I know you mentioned earlier that you had been to Kentucky. You ought to put this one on your list to come and see, and bring your son, and I think you'd have a great time.
Oh yeah, it's definitely on the list. I mean, that's the reason why I called you all first, because I feel that this is probably the greatest track in all of racing. So yeah, definitely wanted to have you all on to discuss it and just to learn more about, I mean, the immensity of it. Like you were saying, I mean, the biggest racetrack out there. But the crazy part was, to me, is because you hear about all the stadiums and racetracks and different things getting built, how billions of dollars, and then how that Ward and Francis got a steal basically at, what, $4 million was the original investment?
Well, when you look back, again, it was a risk for sure. And there were other places that were actually being talked about for the final destination of this racetrack. And I know they were looking at some places in South Carolina, near the Spartanburg area, Greenville area. And then, of course, it all came to fruition here back in the mid-'60s. And then the decision was made here. So, yeah, I think whenever you look back on that initial investment, I think it was a huge, huge win. And, this place was created as a destination for families. And again, we're right off an interstate. We're about 40 miles from Birmingham, Alabama, and we're about 90 miles from Atlanta, Georgia. So it's easy access here when you go on I-20. The great thing is, about a weekend here, and I'll do this sometime just during a weekend, you can pretty well go to anyone that's here, whether they've got their campers, they have their vehicles with a tent, they're camping out for the entire weekend. You can walk through the infield, or you can walk through any of our campgrounds on the outside, and people are just so friendly. It's sort of like a big family reunion, and everybody just comes and has a great time. But, if you wanted to and you were hungry, you could always stop by, and I would bet that the majority of our folks would offer you food. They would offer you a beverage. It's just really, really something to see how everyone gets so excited about being here. We hear all the time that many of our folks that have been coming for years here, they've made so many friends here. And every year, they look forward to getting together. It's friends that they didn't have until they drove upon the property. And all of a sudden, they get to be friends with other folks who make the pilgrimage here as well. So it's a great place, and like I say, I just love to see all the people that are here, because they're all happy to be here, and they're all here to have fun. And it's good to see people in the infield. They're throwing a football, or they're just hanging out, and it's just something to see and just something to be a part of.
That is amazing how NASCAR does unify fans. I mean, I know everybody's got their own favorite driver, but like you said, when it comes to just interacting with each other and caring about each other, that is probably one of the better communities out there. You don't really hear, like in other sports, somebody being from the cheering for the wrong team and bad things happening. You hear NASCAR people that, like you said, they share and they interact, and that's great.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to say some of these records, and I just want to get your opinion on if you think there is ever going to be a possibility of them being broken. Obviously not anytime soon on probably any of these, but just wanted to pick your brain. Dale Earnhardt's 10 wins and 4 consecutive.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Sr. is the one that won 10 races here, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., of his 6 wins, 4 of those were consecutive. Brad Keselowski is halfway there to Dale's. Dale Sr.'s 10 wins. I think it's going to be extremely tough, just where the competition is today, and for him to be able to reach that. But a lot of people probably didn't think that he could get that far. He started his winning streak here back in 2009, and he actually drove for an independent car named James Finch, and he actually won that race, and it led to him becoming a driver with Team Penske. So the Penske guys have had a lot of success here in recent years, both Joey Logano and Brad. I think that's going to be a tall hill to climb from trying to get to 10. But again, he's halfway there. He's halfway to the top of the mountain. Winning 4 straight, again, extremely difficult. Although, again, Team Penske has been extremely dominant here in the last few years. There's just so many drivers out there that are good. They've got great equipment. They're very, very good at drafting. Keselowski is one of those. If I had to pinpoint someone that would have the chance to do that, it would probably be Brad, just because he's just been so dominant here in the last few years. But could we see someone get to 4? It's going to be tough, but it could be done.
Yeah, I was going to say, those two, I agree with you, very tough, very challenging, but you're like you said, there's a possibility. But these other two, especially the first one I'm going to mention, David Mark, with his 61 starts, consecutive starts, on top of that.
You talking about Dave Marcus?
Dave Marcus, there you go. Yes.
Yeah.
61 consecutive starts. I couldn't imagine anybody being able to, the consistency.
Well, I don't know. In today's world of NASCAR, seems like a lot of our drivers are starting out younger, but they're starting to retire a little earlier. Say a Jeff Gordon, for example. Dave actually competed on into his 50s. Darrell Walter competed on into his 50s. I doubt that you'll see someone, because if you look at it, that's over 30 years of coming here consecutively. I don't think that one will ever be broken.
I agree with you. I mean, that is just so impressive. Kind of the Cal Ripken or, the Lou Gehrig kind of feel to it.
Yeah, and Dave Marcus actually won here back in 1976 here, driving the number 71 Dodge. And we love Dave. Dave actually comes back. We have an event here held in earlier in the year. It's our Alabama Wild Game Cook-Off. And Dave has come down here several years, and he's an avid hunter. And some of the things that he might be able to bring to the table, he actually had a recipe for black bear, a black bear that he had shot up in Canada, and he came down and served. It's a big competition. It's a cook-off, and we're always thrilled to have Dave come and be a part of that. Pretty good to have one of your former winners be a part of something else that you host.
That is awesome. Tell us, if fans are wanting to find out more about, the event, the track on social media websites, where would you recommend?
Well, if you want anything on our website, you can find anything pretty much there. That's at Talladega Superspeedway.com. And of course, we're also on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. We're pretty much everywhere from a social media standpoint. We encourage everyone to follow us, and you can see everything that's going on. We're just a little over a month away now from our next event weekend. Again, it's April 27th through the 29th. We'll have the General Tire 200 on Friday. That's for the ARCA Series. And the ARCA Racing Series has been a staple here since 1969. The first ever ARCA race was run here was the Vulcan 500. So the ARCA Series has been a part of this racetrack since it started. So we're always glad to have them come back, and we're always one of the biggest races of the year for those guys. Then, of course, the Sparks Energy 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series will be on Saturday, and then it will all end on Sunday with the Geico 500 for the Monster Energy Cup Series race. So we'll see if Stenhouse can make it 2 in a row. He won at our place, and he backed it up in Daytona during the summer. His team, they've had a little bit of bad luck here to start the year, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be looking forward to coming back to a place that he knows that he can get the job done.
Sounds awesome. With tickets, is it mostly through the box office, Ticketmaster, or do you all have like a third party that is your official third party?
We encourage everyone to go on our website or you can just call us 877-GO-TO-DEGA, D-E-G-A. And we have our folks in place here at our main offices here in the ticket office. And we also have some of our folks that are down in Daytona from our corporate offices as well to assist. So anyone that you call, when you dial that 877-GO-TO-DEGA, D-E-G-A, we have a vast knowledge of exactly what you're looking for. So if you call that number, you're going to get someone on the line that knows about this venue, that knows about where the different tickets are and where the ticket options are for each grandstand. So that's the great thing about it. You know, you can call and talk to someone who knows exactly what's going on here, or if you go online and to our website, it's very self-explanatory as well. You can actually hover over different parts of the grandstand and see exactly what ticket options that there are open. So very easy to do.
Before I let you go, is there anything that we didn't cover? Anything that just you want fans to know about Talladega?
Well, I will say this: we are from a ticket standpoint, you get so much at this racetrack. If you buy a Sunday race ticket to the Geico 500, that will actually get you in on Saturday night to our infield concert. Now, we have not announced who the act is going to be yet, but the Saturday night concert has become a tradition in the infield. So if you have an outside ticket to the grandstand, it will actually give you access into the Saturday night concert. We actually have tram service that will pick you up outside and take you inside to the event, and then once it's over with, we'll actually take you back out. So it's a great place to come from an economic standpoint. A family of four with two children, 12 and under, you can come here for $120 to come and watch our races, and that's a pretty economical opportunity there to come and watch our venue and see the best racing on the planet. Bring your family out, have a great time for the entire weekend. So I would put us against anybody else as far as in sports from a ticket cost standpoint and exactly what you're going to get with that ticket. So again, purchase a Sunday ticket, you get to come to the concert on Saturday night, then you also get to witness the race on Sunday. The other great thing is, from a kid's standpoint, kids get in free on Friday and Saturday, and tickets as low as $10 on Sunday. But all of our tickets for kids are $50 off throughout the grandstand. So there's a lot of great opportunities there for everyone to come and enjoy NASCAR at its finest.
Sounds amazing. With NASCAR being very family friendly, like you mentioned earlier, your areas that you have, just all the opportunities that the fans have to interact with the drivers. I mean, it sounds like a no-brainer that definitely people should be bringing their family there for generations to enjoy Talladega Speedway. Just like to thank our guest today, Russell Branham, Director.
Experience Talladega Superspeedway differently this year with the Kids VIP experience. Your kids can go behind the scenes, take a hot lap, a guided garage tour, or pose for a photo in Victory Lane. This is more than a race. This is Talladega.